This generation, you got to get game ready. You have to put yourself in a position for when the opportunity presents itself, because the opportunity comes and goes super quick. There's other people out there that are game ready. And when that opportunity shows, boom, someone's going to grab it.
In today's social media obsessed world, we all see the successes, the world record breaking, and the achievements of the people we look up to. But what we don't see is what goes on behind the scene. Hosted by power couple Dean and Alana Stott, this show is dedicated to asking difficult questions while discovering the support systems and people behind those we love and respect in media, business, athletics, and high-performance culture. Dean and Alana believe that through honest communication, teamwork, and mutual respect, that anything is possible.
Like, there's not a better partner I could choose who's equally as crazy as me, because we have a chip on our shoulder to prove people wrong, you know, and to prove ourselves right.
I can go be the face of this. I can go do this, but I don't understand the back end of this. I have to learn business. I have to learn how this works.
Many couples in this dynamic are stuck and unable to move forward in an identity crisis.
Marcus's energy is so bad. I feel like I need to cleanse my house. Like, it is so, it's suffocating. And then seeing him 24 hours later, he was as light as air. Yeah.
And we literally embraced, hugged. I stepped back and I said, this is exactly what the guys need.
When we can look behind the scene and learn from each other, we can finally move forward and transform into our fullest potential.
Thank you so much for being here. We finally got together. It's taken a little while, but
6 months later, right?
I know. So I've spoke to you about the premises of the show, so you understand that behind the scenes it's about speaking to the people in front of the camera that the world sees, and the person behind that, which is normally the person running the show. So it's to really find out how the dynamics of those relationships work, and go a bit deeper into the person. So Dean is obviously currently in Israel film for there. You're back home, so this has worked out really well that we're doing on Zoom too. So I think probably the best thing to do would be to go back to when you guys met.
We remember, married 23 years now, so that was a long time ago. I actually I didn't grow up in the United States. I grew up in Canada. And I had one friend here in the Utah Valley and came to visit that individual, and just fell in love with the area. And, you know, in Canada, some people go to university or college and some don't. And it's not like this massive push in culture like it is here in the United States. And so a lot of my one friend, and I got introduced to his friends, and they were all going to college at the time. And so I figured out a way how to enroll into the college, and started to go down that path, and ultimately took one semester of college. And Sonny and I met in a psychology block class. And I saw a road to my green card, and I
there it is.
That's what I tell everybody. I said, he was looking for a wife for immigration.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're free. We've been in America 3 years, and this week we're supposed to have our green card interview, but I've obviously had to push it. But that would have been the quickest and easiest option for us as well, is just to marry an American.
That was my only way in. I didn't have a special skill set where a company was going to be like, yes, we have to have this person. And so, now I'm a U.S. citizen, and been married 23 years, and just love the Utah area.
Yeah. And you have a family as well. You have a lovely family. And obviously, Alana, I follow you guys on social media. And actually, sort of going back slightly from our side, we were in UK, and a couple of friends and I messaged me and said, "Oh, have you seen this guy?" They said, "There seems to be a lot of synergies between you guys and us." And Alana and I sat and watched the Iron Cowboy. So that's when you first came into our life, when we were in UK. I don't know whether it was during COVID, actually, Alana, probably it was.
It was actually before COVID. I think it was 2019 we watched it, because I remember we were in the boathouse, and it was almost like there was a lot of aha moments for us for sure when we watched it, which we can go into there. But Sonny, where are you from? Utah?
Yeah. So I was born and raised here. I've lived other places, of course, but end up back here with this landscape, man. There's nowhere else to live.
It's beautiful. We were in Park City a few weeks ago. It's
then. So were the leaves still red and up when you guys were out there?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Started to turn.
Yeah. No. I think we were there Christmas last year. We've been. I mean, actually, we were trying to work out because I was like, I'm sure we've been here with the kids. We went to that mall, and I said we've been here with the kids, and Dean was like, I can't remember taking the kids here. So we've missed a holiday somewhere along the lines that we've definitely taken.
The leaves this year in particular were just spectacular. We had a lot of moisture this year that always makes them brighter, but man, they were something to remember.
No, amazing. Yeah, we were there when the snow. It was only about a couple of weeks ago. Jack Carr, I know he lives up in Park City. I don't know, you know Jack Carr. He's ex-SEAL. He writes fictional books. So I'll have to introduce you guys. You're not far at all from each other. So we went up to see him. But yeah, the colors of the trees are amazing. And again, I can see, you know, the beauty of America. When we got to America, we weren't aware that, you know, we hear the story that a lot of Americans don't have passports. And now we've experienced America. I can see why you don't need it.
I told Lana, Scotland's my favorite country ever visited. Ever. I love it. It's the Scottish people, man.
and the food. Like, I must admit, that's probably my biggest thing is the food that I miss. But, so what was your upbringing like, Sunny?
So I came from a family of 8 kids, and I was number 7. It was mostly girls. And my mom had them all in 10 years. So we were all right on top of each other. I was really rowdy, rough and tumble. Wished I was a boy my whole life. And I just loved anything that was movement or action. You know, loved seeing stuff blown up, from climbing trees to making bombs to playing sports. So I didn't touch into my feminine side till I was driving a car. You know, it took me a long time to find the feminine side.
Nice.
I would say I was the son my dad never had, because my brothers were off doing wild stuff, and I spent a lot of time with my dad, you know, hunting and fishing. And so
that's super cool. And then you guys met in Utah, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep, at college in Utah. And then we got married, and we decided we kind of wanted to stay here. We'd ventured with some different ideas of moving or doing other things, but as time passed, you know, we kind of built our family here, and, you know, we lived some other places and such, but now James sees the world everywhere, and he says, I'm always glad to come back home. So I guess Utah really is the place.
Yeah, true. And what was the attraction? If you don't mind, I'll ask probably you first, James, and then you, Sonny. What was it? I know you met each other. What do you think brought yourselves together? Was there any standout features, or not features, but personalities that you thought, yeah, this is the one?
I just, you know, we were, obviously she's beautiful, but there was that initial attraction, but we were both into fitness and health and wellness and doing stuff outdoors. And in fact, one of our first things we did together was we went to the gym. And then just realized we had that in common, and just had a lot of fun. And so I think that's what attracted to me. We're very opposite in personalities. I'm not an introvert. I'm a very high functioning one. And she was so like the polar opposite extreme. And as much as that type of personality would frustrate me, I was kind of attracted to it because it was so different than what I was.
Yeah. Well, and that opposition was for me too, because I grew up in a really rowdy house, you know, and James was so calm, and I swore I would never give time to somebody who had a temper, because I was like, if you can't control your emotions, you don't have control over anything in your life. So James was so calm. And initially when I saw him, he didn't look like somebody who would be nice and calm. And so as I got to know him, I was like, man, I really like this guy. He's like really different to be so masculine, but to still be so calm. I felt like that was rare from what I had seen growing up.
It's probably the same thing when you guys met. They just fell in love with our haircut.
We weren't going to spend much money on hair products, you know, so that was it. That was always a bonus.
Yeah, you don't need somebody who takes longer grooming than you in the bathroom. That's, it's very, very interesting, because part of the concept of the behind the scenes show is that you've got this one person out the front and one person behind. And strangely enough, normally the dynamics is the person out the front is the extrovert and the person behind the scenes is quieter. So that's a new one on us, I think, Dean, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a new one in that concept, but I think most relationships or people we've had on, one is identifying the strengths and the weaknesses as well. And I think that's where, your strengths, James, are probably Sonny's weaknesses and vice versa. So I've seen that before, but I've never seen it that the introvert is the face. So.
Sonny says it all the time. Like, I'm an introvert, but I'm a huge dreamer. And okay. Sonny's a massive extrovert, big personality, but she's more grounded. And she always says, James has all these ideas and I've got to pull them back down to earth. And then like we settle on what the best idea is. And so like introvert, big dreamer, big ideas, big personality, more grounded, more rational thinking.
Details.
Yeah. And so like, just because I'm more introvert or quiet doesn't mean I'm not like seeking adventure. And just because she's outgoing and everything doesn't mean like she likes calmness and routine. And so it just really, really worked between the two of us. So those opposites in both of those areas.
I will say though, when he first started the world records and stuff, we did kind of joke about that, where it was like, man, you wouldn't think it'd be James in front of a camera, because he didn't like that. And he doesn't really like people very much. Like, I'm crazy
that probably
social.
Came across bad.
I'm crazy social, right? Like, I want to meet everybody in this room. I want to know your names. I want to learn about your families. I want to know when your birthday is. And James is like, why do I need to know all these people? And I'm like, because it's fun. And he's like, but why is that fun? Like, it's so fun for me and it fills my soul. Or for him, he's like, I'm good with a couple guys at the counter just talking, And so it was interesting that he not only was kind of front and center, which was really awkward for him in the beginning, especially with like news coverage and stuff, but also that he had to be in front of so many people. It's turned him into more extroverted introvert, because he deals so much with people now. Where like for me, I've been at home raising kids and it's been like polar opposite for our personalities. Like
if I go, if I go to church, I'm going to sit on the back row. I don't want to talk to anybody and I just want to observe. And Sonny's like, I'm going to meet and talk to every single person. Or like if I go to a nightclub, Sonny's on the dance floor dancing and I'm like in the shadows, enjoying the music, watching.
Just good, happy to be there.
Watching people. And it's not that I'm having an amazing time. I just enjoy just sitting there watching, observing. And it's just, and the thing I hate the most in the world is like group activities, get to know you things. Like they're so dumb. Like I hate them. Like get together and have a discussion. I'm like, why? What are we doing?
Yeah, that's amazing. Before this podcast and after watching the Iron Cowboy, I would 100% have said, I'm Sonny and Dean is James. I am now 100% James and Dean is Sonny.
Yeah, and I think you, James, must be a secret security operator. You just like to sit in the back and observe and see what's happening. So you'd be very good.
I'd be amazing on a mission. Yeah,
yeah. I think what surprised me from that comment is that you're the dreamer. I always got from watching the Iron Cowboy, and we'll sort of go into that shortly, that it was you, Sonny, that, you obviously initially got him, forgive me if I'm wrong, you applied for a half marathon. Was that it? Yeah. So
it was a 4 mile fun run.
Oh, wow.
4 mile fun run. I got off the couch and
Sonny, solid 6 kilometers.
Yeah. Sonny was like, hey, let's go do this Thanksgiving 4 mile fun run. And I was like, yeah. That sounds stupid. Like, why would anybody do that? And it was an incredibly humbling experience. And, multiple discussions later, we found ourselves training for the Salt Lake City Marathon. And it really kind of kickstarted this whole thing. And I didn't love running at the time, still don't necessarily love it, but we found triathlon in the community. And it was just, growing up doing team sports and structure and all that stuff, you get into your adulthood, and there's not a lot of options anymore. And for someone who likes to be active and doing things, triathlon was something that we could do as an adult, join a community of like-minded people, we're not club goers. We're not, partiers, things like that.
We did play co-ed softball for a very long time together. That was a team sport. James had to change that golfer swing to a softball swing, and it took him a few years to figure that one out.
Yeah, probably one of my most shining moments is striking out in slow pitch softball.
More than once.
maybe twice, but for sure not 3 times.
And this is obviously your career and what you do now, I guess, to an extent. But what was it you were actually doing at this very beginning before this fun run? You were in a completely different career, I guess.
Yeah, I was actually chasing a dream to be a golfer. Fell in love with golf, and it was during Tiger's heyday, and worked at a golf club, ended up managing a golf department at a retail outlet, and just started to have a little family. And it was really, financially difficult, and ended up, having to decide, okay, I've got to.
That's when he grew up.
Yeah. Having to decide, okay, I'm not single.
We had 30 kids, and he was like,
This isn't putting enough food on the table, and I'm now not just responsible for myself, and so chasing some dreams kind of have to go on the sidelines. And so I ended up, Sonny's family. Dad was a commercial real estate developer. Brother was a residential developer. Several sisters were real estate agents. And the missing thing there was a mortgage broker. And so I went and got certified, started the American dream, and started my own company and became a broker and was doing mortgage loans for years. And then the economic crash in 2008 just completely shifted everything. And during that whole time frame, we were still doing the races and learning about triathlon and having a ton of fun.
I think the fair way to say that is we found a way to have personal development amidst being parents and, life. So we found, endurance sports or triathlon or things like that is something we could do together, and something that was good for our health, of course, too, but it was something fun that we enjoyed that helped balance out all the realities of life.
Mm-hmm. And when you were at college, Sunny, was this your aspirations, the parenthood and the sport? What was your...
So I just ran for fitness, but I mostly played sports growing up. And these days that's so cliche because everybody's like, my life is soccer. It wasn't like that in the 80s and 90s. You're right. You played 5 sports. So I always did team sports. I'd never done anything that was individual sports other than gymnastics. So the individual sport thing was new to me. I ran and dreamed of running a marathon, but I was having babies and I was like, well, I don't think I want to train for and get in marathon shape and then have to start over again with a baby. And then finally we decided to go for it in 2005.
No, she made me.
I decided we should go for it.
She signed us both up and informed me that I was running a marathon.
Yeah. But it was great because then we were kind of like, we hated that marathon, but it evolved over time. But I rode my bike everywhere and didn't have a car till I was 25. So I had spent a lot of time cycling unofficially. And so I had always loved to ride my bike. So I was like, well, that was a smooth transition. I had to learn to swim when I was like 35 or something. I didn't learn to swim for a long time.
But what's super cool is our daughters just signed up for the Salt Lake City Marathon, which was our very first one. And we just started doing the math and we were like, that was 19 years
it says
ago.
On the thing, 21st year. And I was like, Jay, we did it like the second year. I was like, oh my gosh.
We are old.
We're getting old, yeah. And obviously, how was that? How was that first 4 miles? Was it hell, or was it something like you felt a weight off your shoulder?
It was so easy. It was so easy. How was yours, James?
Yeah, like anybody new to running, and even over 4 miles, you don't understand pacing and all these things, and so like everybody takes off like they're shot out of a cannon. I'm like, well, okay, let's go. And like my first mile was like a 6-minute mile. And then it really, really went downhill after that. And I remember late in the race, I'm looking over and like these beautiful women are pushing their kids in strollers, having a Sunday afternoon conversation. And basically after the race, Sonny was like, yep, you're pathetic. And we're going to do a marathon.
You get like that cold cough, like when you've been out in the cold and then you like can't stop coughing. He coughed all day at Thanksgiving dinner. And I was like, are you going to be okay? And I was like, you are pathetic. Like, that's not that hard. Like, that was 32 minutes of running or something, I was like, you need to get a grip. Well, because men go lift weights. They never do any type of cardiovascular stuff. And more now, of course. But back then it was like, all he would do is go pump iron. And I was like, it seems like you should be doing other types of exercise. And then I was like, I knew. You should be doing other types of exercise.
Yeah.
Really, this whole journey is her fault.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then again, there's some similarities there. Alana's the same with me. It's like, well, if you can't do it, you can't do it, and just leaves me with that comment, and that's enough then to sort of motivate me. Reverse psychology, I think it is. And so after that run, what was the next run you did then? Because obviously what you're doing now is amazing in regards to endurance feats. So there was obviously started with the 4 miler to where we are now. When did the pin drop and think, yeah, this is something I enjoy?
Yeah, it went from 4 miler straight to marathon. And then it was right during Lance's like pinnacle of his career, 7 Tour de France wins. And growing up in Canada, like nobody's talking about the Tour de France. And so I had a buddy, he was like, hey, it's the final day of the Tour de France. And this guy, Lance Armstrong is in it. You want to come over and we'll have a watch party? And I'm like, okay, whatever. And it was just really exciting to watch this, and everybody was super excited. And then he started telling us about this sprint distance triathlon. And I'm a little bit competitive at times, and especially with some of my friends. And he was like, hey, Ed, this is the time I did at this race in St. George, Utah. It was one of the biggest races there. And he was like, told me his time, and I'm like, I could probably do that. And he's like, I bet you $100 you can.
And then it was on.
You cannot do that. And immediately I went home and I signed up for every race I could find. I went and found like a $400 bike.
They made an official wager for 1 year later.
1 year later. And so that season, I just like dove headfirst. I ended up doing 14 local races, learning as much as I can. And I just fell in love with the speed, the athleticism, trying to figure out swim, bike, run, nutrition, mindset, strength training, all of it. And balance family and all that.
And the result of the bet?
I ended up beating the time and did it. And then by then I'm hooked. And
he realized, he's like, I'm actually kind of good at this. Like I didn't think I'd be that good. I just was taking on this wager, and then I start doing these races and I'm winning them. And I'm like, maybe I'm better than I thought. So then he kind of dove in a little bit.
Yeah. And then obviously it was a lot of fun because Sonny was also doing the races, and it was something that we could do together, and we could do it with little kids. And
did we ever race together? Did we ever do the same?
Jordan,
a couple of them.
Jordan, Salem. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a lot of little kids, so I'm like, how many did we actually?
Who won Jordan? So when did the first? Right, we're going to do a world record. Where did that come from?
So in 2008, I did my first Ironman, and then it was on. Because when you're on any journey, you think or try to think as big as you can, and at that time, I was like, that was the pinnacle. One Ironman.
Well, and the Ironman, he was like, I could do this better if I do it again, now knowing what I know. And so that piqued his interest too, that he's like, I need to do another one of these because now I have some experience and I would change some things. So that was cool because it was like knowledge and growth, right?
That's what's awesome about triathlon too, is like really you're racing against yourself, chasing kind of your ultimate version of yourself. You're racing the course on that day. You're trying to improve from your last time, always trying to learn and evolve and push yourself mentally and physically. And so all of this happened. Like my first Ironman was in 2008. And that was right when the economics crashed and the world started to fall apart. And we were the center of that. And we did everything we could to hold it together, and it ended up losing everything by 2011. And in 2010, when we were doing that, I was unemployed, looking for work, trying to pick up every job.
Really, it was 9 because we planned it in 9.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And then in 2010, her dad ran a charity in Africa. They were building dams, and I was like, okay, man, I want to try to, you hear everybody say, try to give back, and it'll take your mind off of the failures that you're having in your life and help other people and all these things. And so I was like, okay, if I could try to do something that's a passion of mine and try to raise money for the charity, maybe that'll shift all the energy that's happening. And so we put together what we called the Try and Give a Damn project. And it was to do the most half Ironmans that anybody had ever done in a year, and to raise money to build these dams in Africa. And that was the first world record. And that kickstarted this entire journey of craziness.
And during this, what were the dates? So there's a test for you, Sonny. What were the years of the kids being born?
Oh, this is easy.
So my son was born in 2009, and then he started his race in March, his 2010 in March of 2010. So my son was 6 months old when he went to that first race in Oceanside, California.
So we were married in 2000 and kids were born 02, 04, 06, 08, 09.
Sorry, I'm going to say my son, my last child.
And the first race was 10.
Yeah. So we had the last baby and he started that race 6 months later. But I had 5 kids in 6 years.
Yeah, 5 kids, 6 years. And Sunny was 28 when she had our last, which is Quinn, our son. And then so I would have been 33.
Yeah. So Dolly was born in January of 2008, right before the economic crash, right when it was happening. And then we had our son, a year and a couple months later, whatever. So
when you were training, James, for this, were you doing this full-time training or were you trying to balance as well work? And because I know we've been there is trying to balance work, family life, and still train. Had you gone full-time training now, or did you trying to balance all that as well at this point?
Well, I'd started winning races locally. I was gaining lots of experience. We'd broken that first world record. And so
what does full-time training mean, right?
Yeah. And so I was training full time and, I wasn't working a ton and we were trying to find work. And so it allowed me to train and up that training block. And then we started a coaching program because friends and people were just like, hey, how can we get faster? How can we do this? And you've got a lot of experience now. And so it just naturally fell into this coaching role and started a little business.
Which is why he started 2012, because he wanted some clout to sell himself as a coach. So he's like, well, if I can get some world records under my belt, then I can say, hey, choose me over somebody else because I have these world records and blah, blah, blah. So that's what led to the 2012 world record, was trying to get some experience and some clout as a coach.
So I was coaching full-time, training full-time, and Sunny was also doing anything she could, babysitting kids, doing different odds and ends work and tons of stuff we were literally like
hustled for 8, 9,
hustled
10
and grinded,
years.
just doing anything we could to, because we'd lost everything, hit rock bottom. And, you hear a lot of people say, oh, burn your bridges and chase a dream. And my rule number 1 is don't quit your day job and you side hustle until it reaches the point where you can now replace your income. Because I promise anybody that's listening to this that's going to wants to be an entrepreneur, it's not as glorious as you think it is. And it's going to take literally 10 times longer than you think. And so we found ourselves in a very unique situation where somebody else burned all my ships. And it was an opportunity for us to okay, we can start something totally new. And the risk was taken off the table. We didn't have any other options. And so we were then doing what we could to chase that dream. And literally somebody else burnt the ships for us.
Yeah. And was the coaching now, we've gone through that struggle, is the coaching now giving you the income to pay the mortgage, to pay the bills?
Did it work? Did the clout work?
Yeah, for sure. I had tons of clients and online coaching was becoming a thing. And so I was doing one-on-one. I took a job at a gym, at a Gold's Gym here locally, and I was coaching one-on-one. And my entrepreneurial mind is this isn't scalable.
He's like,
long term.
Gold's is taking all the money.
One, I'm like, Gold's is taking all the money, and 2, if I'm not physically in the gym with one person, I'm not making any money.
So he goes on vacation. He's like, who's earning money if I go on a trip with my family? He's like, nobody. This is not a good business model.
And so I figured out, okay, we can do online coaching. We can also do group coaching. And now we have something that's more scalable. And so during the 2012 world record, it was 30 Ironmans through 11 countries. And I coached that entire time. I'm writing programs in airports. I'm in hotel rooms. I'm on race sites. And I was able to do it from anywhere in the world. I literally just needed my laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. And I could coach anybody from anywhere. And Sunny was obviously doing everything she could at home as I was trying to piece all the pieces of this puzzle together. And ultimately, Sunny and I just had this really deep sense that this is what we were supposed to be doing, but we have no idea why or what it's going to turn into. And Sunny just kept saying, this is going to be bigger than we could have ever imagined, and we just need to stay the course.
But we don't know what that means.
But we don't know what that means. Yeah. And ultimately, you guys have probably seen it. You see a lot of people fail because they're so rigid and set on the path that they're supposed to get to where they're going. And we all need to know where we're going. That's the first step in success. But then you have to be open to, oh, this door opened over here and I'm going to go through that. But people are like, no, this is the path I'm supposed to take. And they're missing out on the true opportunities on how to get there. But you have to be going down that road and having those experiences for that door to open.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that one of the other things that I'm seeing from you guys for sure, and I might be wrong here, but is that the teamwork is there, is that you're both actually taking this trip together and you're both on that plan. Was that always the way it is? Because you seem very, very, very together.
Yeah, I always said that we had individual tasks and we were always running parallel. And every once in a while we'd cross paths and remember we were married. And then because it's all traveling. And so we both knew what we needed to do and we both charged forward in our own lane. And we couldn't really experience each other's lane. Like we had our own journeys, but we were inside this giant trail together. So, I mean, we both knew what we had to do individually to make the dream together work.
And even when we first started and what wasn't chasing this dream, like Sunny would work graveyards and I'd work days and sometimes I'd work the graveyard and she'd work days and we'd literally hand Lucy off, our firstborn. Yeah. Hey, it's your shift. I'm going to go do mine. And so
we worked opposite shifts for the first till our second daughter was 2. So for 5 years, we just worked opposite shifts.
Well, and I think we
didn't have daycare, right? Then we raised our own kids, which was important to us.
To us, that seems normal in today's day and age. You're just like, these kids struggle working 3 days a week. And you're like, are you kidding me?
People are like, oh, money's tight. You know, we only have 2 cars and this and that. I mean, you're like, you do not know what it means that money's tight if you have a car, period, you know? So it's.
And I think that's jumping out to me because obviously that period, you know, you don't know you're going to be successful. You don't know that you're going to have the coaching and you're struggling, you're tired, you got the kids. And so there must have been, were there any times you thought, you know, I'm just going to go back to a day job. I need to support and we need money. Or did you just generally both believe, let's stick with the course and go?
You go first.
I think we really both just went all in. And Sunny and I are both big on trusting your gut and inspiration and really feeling it. And it evolved over time, but at no point in time were we like, this isn't working. I mean, we were like, this isn't working and we have to like shift and figure out, but not working in the sense of like abandoning.
This is working, but what we're doing on that channel is not working. Yeah. We got to stay inside that. But
yeah, so there was never a moment where we were like, you know, it's time to go get a job.
I never thought that ever.
I never thought that either. And I truly, like looking back on it, we were both all in, and we just both felt to our cores that this is what we're supposed to be doing, but have no idea what it looks like. But if we just keep showing up, the path will be shown unto us.
Well, and like God says, do this thing, I believe he'll provide the way. So if what we're doing isn't working today, we have to think and ponder and listen for what the new system is, right? Like it will come, but I had to make an effort to resolve it and to solve the issue.
Well, because what you see today is a lot of these kids and individuals, and we can speak to this because we have 5 kids and a lot of peers and people are coming through our house, and so we have a front row seat to a lot of this generation, and they're literally sitting at home waiting for passion and purpose to slap them in the face.
They're waiting to attract their pot of gold.
Yeah, and they have forgotten the key to law of attraction. Everything is show up and do the work. Yeah. And we knew, Sunny and I talk about this all the time about how you have to be game ready. You have to be game ready. And
this is like one of our current favorite topics.
You have to be game ready because
if you aren't ready, if the opportunity presents itself, you're not going to recognize it. You're not going to be able to seize the opportunity. You're not going to be able to do anything with it. So it's like you have to always act like the opportunity is coming. So when it does, you're like, jump in.
So Sunny and I always knew this is the destination. This is vaguely what the destination is. This is the path. And we just kept showing up, pivoting, learning, gaining experience, knowledge, showing up, door opens. We were ready for that door to open. Yeah. But if you're sitting at home and that door opens, you're like, is there a door open up there? You're not ready for it. And so like one of my biggest things is like this generation, you got to get game ready. You got to get game ready, and you just have to put yourself in a position for when the opportunity presents itself, because the opportunity comes and goes super quick, and there's other people out there that are game ready, and when that opportunity shows, boom, someone's going to grab it.